It feels like yesterday that I completed Expedition 33, but it was actually 6 months ago, and oh my god, the passage of time. Oh god, I can't take it. When I finished Expedition 33, I knew that I had just finished a masterpiece. Now, when I say masterpiece, I'm not saying the game is perfect, because it's not, but its flaws in my mind are just insignificant in comparison to the unbelievable strengths of this game. So when I say masterpiece, I just mean something that affected me deeply, and this game certainly fits that bill. I loved it. What I like to try to do when I finish something and I think that it is a masterpiece, I kind of like to reflect and look back and see if I can pinpoint the exact moment when that switch in my brain flipped. Like, when did I realize that what I was playing was a masterpiece? Of the people who think that Expedition 33 is a masterpiece, I imagine many of them will say the moment they knew was pretty much right at the beginning. And I get why people say that. The prologue of this game is absolutely beautiful. It's full of so much emotion. It introduces you a little bit to the gameplay, but really what it's about Gustav reconnecting with his ex-girlfriend Sophie on the day of her gamage. So basically the day that she is going to pass away. It's such a beautiful opening. And I love getting to just explore Lumiere and reconnect with Sophie and just see how those two interact. But then, of course, it leads up to the absolutely beautiful scene of the gamage. When I watch the gamage, it just never fails to make me emotional. There's so many just little moments in there, like the two children hugging while the people around them fade away, or the child who loses her mother. And of course, just Gustav himself just comforting Sophie in her last moments of life. It is heartbreaking. And then, of course, you add in the beautiful soundtrack, and you get this scene that is just perfect. And the prologue of this game is perfect, and it just hooks you into this journey. Immediately, I remember when I finished that prologue, and seeing the way Gustav turns to look at the paintress, right now I'm getting chills just describing it, but I remember I was just absolutely hooked, and I was ready to see this journey through to its end right away. However, I have played many games, maybe not many, but in recent memory, I remember I played Final Fantasy 16, which is a game where I loved its opening hour, or hour and a half, whatever, like its prologue, whatever it was in the demo. I loved that. And I'm like, wow, this game is going to be a masterpiece. And unfortunately, at least for me, I feel like that was the height of the game. And it had some really cool moments, but it just kind of got worse and worse, in my opinion, as the game went on. So I was a little bit worried after we left Lumiere that the game would just not be able to recreate, those emotional highs that it did in the prologue. I was wrong, okay? The game has plenty of emotional moments throughout, and there's plenty of twists and turns that had me just on the edge of my seat and absolutely floored several times. But none of those moments are the moment that made me realize that I was playing a masterpiece. That moment actually happened in a quieter scene. I needed a little bit more to be convinced that this game was a masterpiece, although I'll be honest, I was leaning towards believing it already because the prologue was just so good. But I did need to be a little bit convinced. Luckily, I did not have to wait long, because soon after the prologue is a scene that is not a big emotional scene. It's not a huge set piece or anything like that. It's just a scene of two characters talking to each other at a campfire. And it is an absolute masterclass in writing. The scene I am talking about is the scene of Gustav and Lune after Renoir has pretty much wiped out the entire expedition. Now, they've lost a lot of hope, but Lune still wants to keep going. And this scene is amazing for a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to break down every single line or anything like that, but the first thing I want to say, that this scene just feels like two humans talking to each other. And I know that seems obvious, but I can't understate how important that is for the immersion of a scene. The problem about it is that in so many games, these scenes feel like you can really feel that it's two voice actors in separate booths taking turns saying their lines. It doesn't feel real. It feels very stilted and awkward. My biggest pet peeve with this is when one character is talking and they are clearly meant to be interrupted by another character. And it goes a little something like this. All right, Lord Kermit, that's enough. Tell me where the princess is. You want to know where the princess is, do ya? Well, I'm not gonna tell... Enough messing around. Okay, obviously, that was a little bit exaggerated, but you get my point. In this scene, there is no awkward pauses or, like, it doesn't feel very robotic. It feels like we're watching two people interact with each other, and that goes a long way. You're never really taken out of the scene by some awkward lines or some awkward pauses. It really helps a lot. But of course, there's more to this scene than just the presentation. This conversation between Gustave and Lune, it carries a lot of weight, and you can really feel and understand what these characters are going through in this moment, and you understand both of their points of view, and it's just fantastic. So like I said, I'm not going to go through every single line of dialogue in this scene, but I do want to look at a couple specific moments. Let's look at the first one.
We can rest a bit, but the moon is bright. I want to keep moving.
Have you learned nothing from the beach?
No, I am not leaving Maël alone a minute longer than I have to.
But right now, it's just the two of us, and I don't want to bring Maël your corpse. We have to think every step through. The man on the beach, you saw what he did. He must be, what, 50? 60? Yet he survived the Gamage. We don't know who we're dealing with. We lost everyone in an instant.
Exactly! He killed us all so easily. He doesn't need to fake a message.
I've watched this scene like 50 times, I feel like, while I've been writing this video, and I still am just getting chills from watching it because it's just so good. What I love about this is, like, at this point in the game, you know, you don't know much, especially about Lune. You don't know anything about her, really. You know, you've barely been introduced to her. You know a little bit about Gustave. You know he cares a lot about the people around him, and that's very clear here. He cares about finding Maël and getting her to safety. He cares about that more than anything right now. But then you have Lune, on the other hand, who is being presented as very calculated, and she wants to think every step through. In her mind, all of their lives, including her own, they are insignificant, you know, in the grand scheme of things. The most important thing in her mind is the expedition and the mission that they swore an oath to. So when Gustave is talking about going to find Maël, she doesn't understand. She is not happy about that because she doesn't see the point in putting their lives at risk for someone that is basically meaningless, you know, in regards to Lumiere's future. Well, as far as she knows, we obviously know that that's not true. From Lune's point of view, you know, she wants to stop and think. Gustave wants to rush in and save Maël. Now, what I love about this, though, is it's not just Lune is the smart one, Gustave is the emotional one, and that's really about it. It's clear that he's logical, too. You know, he's a smart person. He realizes, why would this person who just wiped out like 30 or 40 people, why would he play tricks to lure them into a trap? You know, there's no reason for him to do that. He could just, if he finds them, he can just kill them. This scene only gets better as it goes on, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this particular part. And really, there's one more big part that I want to talk about. So let's watch that next.
I am not letting Maël die out here. I'm taking her home.
What? No. We have a mission.
Oh, the mission! The mission, Lune. What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When one falls. Not if. When.
That line, that is the very moment that I knew I was playing a masterpiece. I mean, it's just perfect. I love the way that it focuses on the armband after she says that line. You know, every single person who put on that armband knew that they would die, you know, more than likely. There had been several expeditions before Expedition 33, and obviously none of them were successful. The paintress is still there. People are still dying in the Gamage every single year. So when they put on that armband means something. You know, it means that they are putting Lumiere above themselves. They are now a part of this expedition, this great expedition that is basically sacrificing their lives, you know, in just the hope that Lumiere can have a future. Oh my gosh, it just gives me chills. This game is amazing. Okay, and I gotta say, I love Gustav, man. I love his performance in this game. He is my favorite character in the game. I mean, he is just an amazing character. He just feels so real. Like, this is a great, and I'm actually gonna wait while I talk, before I talk more about Gustav. I'm gonna let more of the scene play out because there's a really good moment with him and Lune at the end that really puts into perspective why Gustav feels like a real person and why so many people love his character so much.
As long as even one of us stands, our fight is not over.
But I'm not afraid to fight. It's just Mael.
Mael swore the same oath.
I know that.
She chose her life. You and I... Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
Any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that? Do you?
I hope I do.
I love it. I love it so much. That exchange is why Gustav feels real, why Lune feels real. She is still dedicated to this mission. And you gotta put, if you're putting yourself in Gustav's shoes, okay, your whole life, you have been preparing yourself for this moment. Okay, you are preparing yourself to put your life on the line, to confront the Paintress and hope against all hope that you can put an end to this cycle. Right as soon as you leave, you know, moments basically into this journey, everyone dies, okay? And the girl who you've taken into basically your custody, she has gone missing, and you love that girl more than anything. You want to make sure she's safe. And that's almost at odds with this mission you've been preparing your whole life for. And so his worldview is being shaken to the core. And he is just so conflicted here because his whole life he has believed that no individual life is greater than the future of Lumiere. But what if that individual life is someone that you love more than anything? It's heartbreaking, and you put yourself in that position and you don't know how you would act. Like when I watch him and the way he acts in that scene, it feels so relatable. You know, it feels so real. And I've used that phrase a ton while making this video, and I know it's repetitive, but it's so true. It just feels authentic, you know? And I love that aspect of not just this scene, it's just how the game feels when these characters are talking to each other, which just helps you really identify with and love these characters. I don't know how to finish this video. Lately, I've been listening to the soundtrack while I've been working, and it's just made me miss the game. So then I've been going through and watching scenes from the game, and when I saw this one again, it just reminded me of the very, very moment that I knew I was playing something, you know, greater. Something that was definitely going to stick with me. And it has. You know, I'm actually thinking about replaying it now, but I don't have any time for anything. Parents out there, you know what it's like. New baby. I barely have time to myself, really. So replaying a game almost feels like a waste of time. But when that game is Expedition 33, is it a waste of time? I don't know. There's so many new games to play. My backlog just keeps getting bigger. But this game is so good. Oh. So yeah, I'm just going to fade away now. Got to turn off the camera.